Still not hearing you. Wouldn't you know it? Well, let's call somebody and they can come over here and pretend to fix it.
Thank you for calling MPCC Help Desk. This is Pamela. How can I help you?
Yeah, this is Jared. I'm up here in the Health and Science Center, room 2, whatever it is, 16 or something like this.
Uh-huh.
And I can't hear any sound from Maxwell. I've hung up and redialed. Nothing's working. They say that their mic is not muted on their end. They can hear me, I can't hear them.
Okay. I'll call Pat and have her come over.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, we'll get somebody over to her to help out. In the meantime, I'm going to go and check on something in my office. I'll be back in a few minutes. Just hang tight. we have sound yet? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I guess we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. I suppose I can do my thing, even though you can't talk back. I suppose it's always good to have a class that can't talk back at you. Alright, so last time we should have, well, since last time, should have looked into getting access to your own copy of Google SketchUp. And today we're going to start watching some learning videos about Google SketchUp. And we'll start our first assignment in Google SketchUp. And then essentially what we've got going on is we've got we're going to do some learning assignments in Google SketchUp, and then we're going to do a project in Google SketchUp. We'll start this week with our learning assignments, today, Wednesday, and Friday, and next Monday. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll come back and we'll do our final project, spend some time for a couple of weeks, well, for a week or so doing some design. We'll spend a week doing some 3D tooling and some three-dimensional printing, and then we'll be done. It's almost the end of the semester. I have been doing some grading. I'll promise you I'm making some progress. Hi, Pat. How you doing?
You can't hear them?
I can't hear them, but it's not that essential. If you can't do it without shutting everything off, then
Should you use the remote down low? Sometimes that'll do it. Now ask him to talk.
Okay, say something again. Oh, here we go. So I pushed the button on here for the mute, but I didn't push the volume on there.
Sometimes if someone shuts it clear down here, then you can't do anything here. I don't know who's doing it.
Can we just get rid of this thing?
If we did, we'd probably have all kinds of other
What if I just take the batteries out? All right, thanks, Pat. I'll remember that next time.
Open or shut?
Just open. All right. Anyway, we have like 3 different places we can change the volume here, and I didn't check all 3 of them apparently. Actually, I think there's 4 now that I think about it. But anyway. Okay. So, are you guys able to get access to Google SketchUp? I think you said you had it at home or something like that. Is that correct? Okay, good. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go to SketchUp, which is where we ended up last time. We ended the class last time just by looking at SketchUp really quick online. And instead of going to download SketchUp today, we're going to go to our Learn Center. And we're going to see down here that there are 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4 actually, but anyway, you've got 3 videos here, and I think there are lots more. There are hundreds and even thousands more, really. But we're going to watch each of these 4. We're going to watch these 4 videos. We're going to start with the first couple of them today, and we'll stop and ask questions in the middle of them as they go through things, and she'll point out some important things so that we can learn as much as we can. But in these videos, what they're essentially doing is they are going to be building a house. Your assignment is to watch these videos again on your own, and while you're watching them, to build a house also. But I want you to build a house that resembles the house that you grew up in. And I want it to be to scale in the drawing. So on the drawing, it should measure with the same measurements and the same everything that your house at home has. So that's so one of your jobs is going to be, of course, to go home and take some measurements. Take some outside measurements of the house, take some details, maybe take some photographs so that you can get some ideas. I want you to put as much detail as you can without going too crazy. You should be spending an hour on this class a day or so, or a little bit more. And so if you're spending an hour on this class and you can get some fair amount of detail, that's great. But this is where we're going to start today, and then you will be on your own to to work on this with me checking up on you, up on your progress on Wednesday, Friday, and next Monday. So let's go ahead and get started. So wait, before I get started, are there any questions about the assignment? For the next week, next Monday, you'll have an assignment due, which is to design your home that you grew up in, probably the one you live in now, and just put as much detail as you can. And this is not just an outside of the house design. These videos will actually show you how to design the inside of the house as well. So we're going to do both. Any questions about that? It'll be due a week from now, yep, and you'll have all this week to work on it and to learn what you need to learn. Sound like a plan? All right. So let's go ahead and start these videos. And let's learn some Google SketchUp.
When you first start SketchUp, you'll be presented with the welcome screen. Regardless if you are using SketchUp Free or Pro, you will need to pick a template to start with. The main difference is the default units of measurement SketchUp will use, such as meters or inches. The other difference is the starting view, which can be from the side or from the top. Either is fine. Choose a template and start SketchUp. Based on the template you've chosen for SketchUp, your default view will be from the top or from the side. Let's all start from the same view by going to the camera menu, Standard Views, and choose ISO. Now begin by drawing a rectangle. Pick the rectangle tool, then click once to start a rectangle. Pull away, and click again to finish. A quick note about drawing in SketchUp. Get in the habit of click and releasing your mouse button to start and finish most actions. This will be true for almost all of the drawing tools, unless we specifically ask you.
So what they're saying here is not necessarily clear, actually, for most people, but what they're saying is you don't have to hold the button down. You just click it and release it, and then you will open up your rectangle, and then you'll click it to finish the rectangle. And that's most of the commands in SketchUp are this way. Get used to doing that. It turns out to be much easier, and you'll use your mouse for lots of other things in between. That's why you do this, because you're going to hover over things and click on other things.
To click and drag your mouse button, always click and release to start and finish each tool and action. Now undo any rectangles by going to the Edit menu and choosing Undo. Draw another rectangle, but this time keep an eye on the lower right corner as you do. Click once to start the rectangle, pull away, and watch how the dimensions change as you adjust the rectangle size. Click again to finish the rectangle. You can be as precise with SketchUp as you'd like. Although it may not seem you are being accurate, everything you draw in SketchUp has a real-world scale. We'll learn more about this later. For now, let's move on to the next tool, the Push-Pull tool. Select this tool and click on the rectangle we just drew. Pull up, and we've created a box. Click to finish. The Push-Pull tool will literally push or pull on any flat surface. Try it on our simple box. Click on this side to pull it out and click to finish. Click on this side to push it in and click to finish. Now let's combine more rectangles with the Push-Pull tool. Select the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle on our existing box. Watch how SketchUp will give you reference points to help as you draw. For example, to draw from this corner, SketchUp snaps to this point and shows you a green endpoint. Click here to start, pull away, and finish the rectangle. Now use Push-Pull to push this new surface inward. The drawing tools all work based on the surface you are drawing on. For example, use the Circle tool to draw a circle on one of your surfaces. Simply click to start, pull out the radius, and click again to finish. Now draw another circle on a different surface to see how the orientation aligns to whatever you are drawing on. Use Push-Pull to create some cylinders. Select the rectangle tool again and start from this upper edge. SketchUp shows a red dot indicating you are on the edge. Click to start and draw down to a lower edge, also showing a red dot. Use Push-Pull to push this surface inward. All reference points are called inference points in SketchUp, and they will be very helpful in making you both accurate and fast. Here are the basic inference points: endpoints, on-edge points, and midpoints for the middle of any edge. There are others, but these are the most common. You can see how simple it is to create 3D objects in SketchUp. Let's take a moment to explore navigation in SketchUp. Start with the Orbit tool. Click and drag to orbit your view right to left and up and down. For practice, try orbiting fully around your model. Next is the Pan tool. This moves your view side to side without orbiting. Click and drag to pan your view of the model around the screen. The final navigation tool is Zoom. Click and drag to zoom closer to and away from your model. Now try practicing using orbit, pan, and zoom together. Zoom in, orbit, pan, orbit, zoom, and so forth. Navigating is essential in SketchUp, but going back and forth to pick the icons seems slow and cumbersome, which is why we've built all the navigation tools into a 3-button scroll wheel mouse. Simply roll the mouse wheel forward and back to zoom in and out. Press the wheel down to orbit. Press the wheel down and hold Shift key on your keyboard to pan. Practice navigating again using the scroll wheel for a much faster experience. Another advantage to using the scroll wheel is better control over zooming. Try this. Hover your cursor over this corner of your model and roll the wheel forward. See how it zooms towards that corner? Using the scroll wheel will zoom toward and away from any area where your cursor is, making navigation even easier. Let's review what we've learned so far by creating a very simple house object. Begin by zooming back out so we can see our entire model, then use the Select tool. Click and drag a selection box around the entire model and press Delete on your keyboard. Draw a new rectangle and use the Push-Pull tool to pull this rectangle into a box. Orbit and pan to get a better view of the top. Now let's split this top surface with the Line tool. Before drawing the line, hover over the top edge and find the midpoint inference. Click on the midpoint to start drawing, move across the surface and find the midpoint on the opposite edge and click to finish the line. We'll pull this new edge up to create a roof. Choose the Select tool and click on the edge to select it. With the edge highlighted, use the Move tool to create a ridge. Click on the edge to begin moving it, move it upward, and click again to finish. A quick orbit shows that I wasn't very careful in moving my roof line and the result is uneven. Let's undo that move and see how SketchUp can help us to be more accurate. Make sure the edge is selected, then using the Move tool, click once on the edge to start moving it. While moving it around, notice that the edge snaps to a blue dotted line. This is an indication that you are moving the edge straight up, which will result in an even roof. Click to finish. In SketchUp, the red, green, and blue axes will help you to draw and move correctly in 3D space. Let's try it by creating a chimney on the roof. Navigate for a better view of the roof surface. Now use the Line tool and click once on an upper part of the roof to start drawing a line. As you move the line around, watch how it will snap to a red direction, a green direction, and a blue direction. Try drawing a line in each direction and orbiting to see the orientation. The blue direction is vertical, straight up and down, and the red and green are horizontal. To draw a chimney, we can approach it in many ways, but we'll use this method. We'll draw the side profile shape, then use the Push-Pull to create the full chimney. Drawing with the axis directions will help us create the correct profile in 3D space. Use the Eraser tool and click on any edges you drew to erase them. With the Line tool, click once on the roof edge. Make sure you see the red on-edge inference point, or you could also start from the midpoint and draw a line straight up in the blue direction. Click to finish your line and press the Escape key to cancel a continuous line. Now choose another point on the edge and start drawing a line from that point up in the blue direction and watch as you draw upward that SketchUp will give you an inference when you are lined up with the previous line you drew. Draw your second line to this point. Now draw an edge connecting the two lines to complete a surface. With the surface drawn, use push-pull to extend the chimney across the roof to a point you are happy with. Use push-pull again to complete the chimney. By pulling across the roof surface, extra edges have been created, but these are easily erased. Any lines drawn across coplanar surfaces can be erased to form one larger surface. We call this healing the surface. Use the eraser and erase the two extra edges. At this point you know some of the basics of SketchUp, so practice what you've learned by adding to our simple house. Draw a rectangle and split it in half. Then use push-pull to create some steps. Draw a few more rectangles to create a door and windows. Try a few things on your own. You can see how easy it is to create simple models in SketchUp with only a few tools. When you are ready to learn more, proceed to our next video where we will create a more detailed house with real dimensions and introduce you to the offset and follow me tools.
All right, is there anything that you saw there that you have a question about? Pretty simple, straightforward stuff. You'll notice that that house didn't have anything fancy on the outside and also didn't have an interior. So we're going to get on to that here in this next video.
Please be sure you've watched the first Getting Started video. We'll build on the concepts learned there. In this video, we'll create a more detailed house, learning about accuracy, drawing tips, and using offset and the Follow Me tool. To start this model, let's draw a basic rectangle. As we learned before, everything you draw in SketchUp has real dimensions. We need to control what the dimensions are. In SketchUp, to enter dimensions, you start an operation, then simply type in the desired dimensions. Try this. Undo your rectangle if needed, then start drawing a new rectangle and type 10 apostrophe, comma.
What's wrong with this dumb toolbar? Go away, toolbar.
20 apostrophe, and press the Enter key. This creates a rectangle 10 feet by 20 feet. Now start a line from this corner and draw in the red direction. Type 2M and press Enter. This creates a line that is 2 meters long. Working accurately in SketchUp is simple. You just start drawing and then type in the dimensions as needed. Rectangle dimensions are separated by a comma. Here are a few examples of some dimensions you might enter. Now that you are familiar with entering dimensions, erase any existing geometry and draw a new rectangle that is 12 feet by 30 feet. Now starting from this corner, draw another rectangle adjacent to the first that is 20 feet by 10 feet.
It's making me crazy, sorry. I want to be able to see what's going on down below. Nuts. Stupid. Me, those things are crappy.
Please be sure you've watched the first Getting Started video. We'll build on the concepts learned there. In this video, we'll create a more detailed house, learning about accuracy, drawing tips, and using offset and the Follow Me tool. To start this model, let's draw a basic rectangle. As we learned before, everything you draw in SketchUp has real dimensions. We need to control what the dimensions are. In SketchUp, to enter dimensions, you start an operation, then simply type in the desired dimensions. Try this. Undo your rectangle if needed, then start drawing a new rectangle and type 10 apostrophe, comma, 20 apostrophe, and press the Enter key. This creates a rectangle 10 feet by 20 feet. Now start a line from this corner and draw in the red direction. Type 2M and press enter. This creates a line that is 2 meters long. Working accurately in SketchUp is simple. You just start drawing and then type in the dimensions as needed. Rectangle dimensions are separated by a comma. Here are a few examples of some dimensions you might enter. Now that you are familiar with entering dimensions, erase any existing geometry and draw a new rectangle that is 12 feet by 30 feet. Now starting from this corner, draw another rectangle adjacent to the first that is 20 feet by 10 feet. We can combine these two surfaces by erasing the separating edge. There, now this is one surface that we can push-pull. Start pulling it up and enter 10 feet. To create the roof, we'll use the line tool and draw all the edges we need before pulling the ridge up. Using the line tool, find the midpoint and start drawing back in the green direction. This will be our first ridge, and we need it to connect exactly with the second ridge. To do this, simply hover, but don't click, on the midpoint here, telling SketchUp we are interested in this inference point. Once you see the tool tip telling you it's the midpoint, follow the original green direction and SketchUp will infer to the new midpoint, telling you exactly how far to draw the first edge. Make sure you see both inferences and click to finish the first ridge. Then draw the second ridge to this midpoint. Now that we have both ridges in place, simply draw the lines where the roof will fold when we move the ridge lines. Use the select arrow and click on one of the ridges, then hold the shift key and watch the icon. There is now a plus minus that indicates you can add to or subtract from your current selection. This allows you to select other entities and deselect them as well while holding shift. Add the other ridgeline to your selection, making sure only these two edges are selected. Now you can use the move tool to pull up the roof. When you're happy with your roof, use the select tool and click away from your model to deselect the ridge lines. Let's explore a new tool, the offset tool. If you don't see the large tool set, go to the View menu, Tool Palettes, Large Tool Set. This opens the complete tool set in SketchUp. To see how the offset tool works, click on the side of our house and pull inwards or away. All the edges of the surface are offset. Click to finish. You can try this on different surfaces to see the results, or if you wanted to focus on one surface, you could use the select tool to pick a single surface, then the offset tool will only work on that surface. Time to get back to our house. So undo any previous offsets and navigate so we can see under the house. Let's offset the base of the house inwards. Select the bottom surface to focus the offset tool, then offset the base inwards by 6 inches. Push this new surface upwards to create a roof overhang, but don't push it all the way. Leave a few inches for us to work with later. Offset can help us add some quick detail to other elements as well. Use the rectangle tool to create a door and window. Be sure to start the door from the bottom edge. The window is simple, offset it once or twice, and use push-pull to make the window frame. The door is a little more tricky, however. Offsetting the door creates some extra geometry that we don't need. It's easy to erase these extra edges, but there is another way to use offset that will solve this problem for us. Undo back to our simple door. Use the select tool to pick one door edge, then holding the shift key, add the other 2 edges. With these edges selected, the offset tool will focus and only work on those edges, so we don't have any problematic edges below our house and can correctly create the door frame. Pull the door frame out so we can use it in our next example. Now that you understand the offset tool, let's move on to the Follow Me tool. Zoom into the lower corner of the door frame we just created and draw a line between these 2 edges. We could use push-pull on this new surface, but what if we wanted this to be trim that turns this corner? That is what the Follow Me tool will do. Hit the Escape key to cancel your push-pull or undo it, then select the Follow Me tool and click once on our trim surface. Pull along this lower edge and it looks similar to push-pull, until you meet the corner and continue in a different direction. You can pull upwards or around the corner and follow any joining edges, then click to finish. The key to Follow Me is having a continuous edge to follow. Let's undo and navigate so we have a full view of the base of our house. Now use Follow Me to start following this trim all the way around the house till it meets up with the other side of the door. Just carefully follow along the edges and click to finish when you reach the inside corner of the door. Sometimes it's tricky to end the Follow Me tool at the right point, but a more sure way to use the tool is to pre-pick the path we want to choose. Undo the Follow Me action we just finished, and this time use the Select tool to choose our path. Hold the Shift key down like before, and select all the edges that go around the house, but only the edges, and make sure they are all connected or the tool won't work. With our path selected, now choose the Follow Me tool. It looks like we lost our selection, but don't worry, just click on the trim surface to pull it around the path. If your example doesn't work, try again, and make sure you pick all the edges and have nothing else selected. We are only scratching the surface of what can be done with the Follow Me and other tools, so please look into more of our videos and learning resources to explore these tools to their full extent. To finish our house example, let's turn our attention back to the roof and some drawing aids in SketchUp. Use the Line tool and start drawing a line from this edge. Now hover over the roof edge for a few moments, and as you continue to draw, you'll see a new inference that is purple in color and parallel to the edge we just hovered over. We can easily find out how far to draw this parallel edge by hovering over the ridge point to focus attention there. Then as we come back to drawing our original line, SketchUp will tell us where these points meet up. Click to finish that edge, then continue drawing and hover over the far roof line to tell SketchUp we are now interested in that edge. SketchUp will now show us the parallel inference to that edge, and we can follow it down to meet up with the lower on edge inference point. At this point, you can keep practicing on your own. In the next video in this series, we will create an interior room and fill it with items from the 3D warehouse.
All right. Any questions about that second video about how to put some details on the house? You may have guessed you can also use some of those tools to kind of hollow out the inside of the house. It's not necessarily the best way to do it, but you can do it. In this final video here, we're going to see some better ways to work on a house design here. Not necessarily from the outside in, but from the inside out. So let's take a look at this last one here. Well, we have two more really, but we probably won't get to both of them today. But you can watch the fourth one on your own.
Please be sure you have watched the previous Getting Started videos. We'll build on the concepts learned there. In this video, we'll create an interior room, something that you may create to test out paint schemes or furniture arrangement. We'll build out the basic room, apply some simple colors, and then use the 3D warehouse to find furniture we can put in and arrange. If you're creating your own space, the first thing you need to do is to take some basic measurements of the size of the room and where windows or other prominent elements are to accurately recreate the space. We know how to draw accurately in SketchUp from the previous video. For our example, let's begin by drawing a room that is 20 feet long by 16 feet wide and pull it up to 9 feet. When you are working only on an interior room, it's often helpful to erase some of the walls, and we can always draw them back in later. Using the eraser, erase this corner edge, which will delete two of the sides. You'll see the inside surfaces are a different color from the outside surfaces where we've been working on, but it will have no effect on our example, and we're going to paint these surfaces anyway. Navigate to get a good view of this back surface. Let's use a new tool to help us lay out some guidelines. The tape measure tool can measure between points in SketchUp, but will also create guidelines we can reference. Click on this corner edge and pull away. Type 40 inches to create a guide, 40 inches from that edge. Now repeat this process from the opposite edge. create a guideline that is 24 inches high and a final guide that is 18 inches down from the top edge. With these guides in place, let's add detail to our room by creating a built-in structure. Draw 3 rectangles using the guide intersections here, here, and here. Now we can delete our guides. You can delete guides with the eraser tool, but some of our guides are now hidden behind edges. You can see this by zooming out. Zoom out far enough to see all the guides and erase them, or you can also delete all the guides in your model by going to the Edit menu and choosing Delete Guides. Navigate back into our room. Use Push-Pull to pull this middle surface out 24 inches. Now pull this lower surface out 18 inches. We need to pull the far surface out 18 inches as well, but rather than manually inputting the distance, we can use inferencing. Click once with Push-Pull on the far surface to start pulling it, and leave the surface with your icon. Watch how hovering over various surfaces will pull it out to match. We can simply infer to this near surface and click on it to finish. Try again on these upper surfaces. Pull one out 12 inches, then pull the other surface out and watch how it will infer to the other surfaces. Remember, you'll click once on the first surface to start the push-pull, but you'll finish by clicking on the other surface. It's good modeling technique to keep your model clean. Let's erase these extra edges created from our push-pull. Anytime you have surfaces that are coplanar, you can erase edges separating them. This is called healing the surface. Zoom in if you need to erase the unnecessary edges. We need to navigate to the other side and erase those edges as well. When you do, it's tricky to find the ideal view and it's easy to orbit outside of the wall surface. Try this. Navigate back to a full room view, then choose the Zoom tool. Watch the Measurements toolbar. It shows your field of view. You can change this just like changing the lens of a camera, allowing us to see more perspective in our view, which is particularly useful for interior scenes. Type 50 and press Enter. Now the field of view shows 50 degrees and we have a broader view of our scene. Navigate back to the corner and find a good view to erase the extra edges. With that done, let's turn our attention to creating some windows. Navigate to a good view of this wall and use the tape measure to create a guide 5 feet from the far wall. Create another guide 30 inches from the first. Now create a guide from the bottom edge and infer to our built-in structure to finish it. Do the same from the top edge so our windows will line up with other elements of our room. Draw a rectangle using the guides for our window. Our room will have 3 windows on this wall and they are 18 inches apart. Create a guide 18 inches from our new window. Now select the new rectangle, then the Move tool. Move the rectangle from this lower corner and start moving it along the wall. While still moving the rectangle, press the Control key on a Windows machine or the Option key if you are on a Mac. This leaves the original shape and creates a copy for you to move. Use the guideline reference to place the new rectangle. Practice this again for the third window. Create a guideline 18 inches from the new window, select, and move a copy of the window by pressing Control or Option on a Mac, and remember to move it exactly by moving from a corner to a corner. We are finished with the guides, so go to the Edit menu and choose Delete Guides to erase them all. To make the windows more detailed, we'll use the Offset tool and introduce some new tips to help you work quickly. Zoom into one of your windows and offset the surface inwards 3 inches. Then select the inner surface and offset it 1 more inch. Now use the Line tool and draw 2 crossing edges from the midpoints of the inner surface. Finally, select one of the new rectangles created by the crossing edges and offset it in 1/2 inch for a window mullion. SketchUp will remember the last distance you offset, so rather than typing in a value for the remaining window mullions, select another surface, then using the Offset tool, double-click on that surface. It will offset it the exact amount of the last offset. Try again on the remaining 2 rectangles, select the surface, then use the Offset tool and double-click to quickly offset it by the last amount. Double-clicking also works with push-pull. Try selecting, then pushing one of the windows in, then select a new window, and double-click with push-pull on a different window. Continue this for all windows. Select the surface, then double-click with the push-pull tool to push it to the same distance. To push the window mullion back, let's first zoom in and erase the crossing edges to heal this into one surface. Then push it back, and also pull the other surfaces in or out to create an interesting window and frame. Now we need to repeat this process for our remaining windows, and because we've built one, we can use inferencing to quickly repeat the process. For example, I can offset this surface from this lower edge and infer to our completed window for the correct distance. Although we are offsetting the whole surface, choosing the right edge to start the offset will determine which inferences are available to you. So in our example, we want to offset from horizontal edges to infer to parallel edges. Offset the frame inferring back to the complete window. Divide the windows with two edges drawn from the midpoints. Then offset one surface using inference, and the remaining window surfaces by double-clicking as before. Use push-pull and inferences to complete this window so it's an exact replica of the first window. This third window is available for you to continue practicing on. Repeat the steps we've taken to replicate another window. Of note, we are drawing these windows manually to practice these drawing techniques. But in our next video and other videos, you'll learn about better techniques for creating copies and repeated elements. But that is beyond the scope of this video. At this point, our example has some interesting details, but color would help a lot. Let's apply some paint and materials. Applying color is one of the few tasks that is slightly different on Mac versus Windows. So we'll cover both. The basics are the same though. Pick a material and paint it to the surfaces in your scene. Select the Paint Bucket tool to bring up the Color or Materials browser. On a PC, you are shown a default palette of colors to pick from, and on a Mac, you are given a color wheel to pick colors from. Choose a color, and then click on a surface to paint that color. Continue painting surfaces in your model, pick different colors, and try some various color schemes in your model. Navigate around as needed to get different sides for your walls, but don't paint the windows yet. For the windows, we'll introduce a tip to make the process easier. To start, let's pick a pale bluish color to represent the glass in the windows. The trim, however, has lots of little surfaces to work around and paint. Try this. Since our window trim is all still the default blue color, we can paint it all at once by holding the Control key on a PC or the Option key on a Mac. Choose the trim color, hold down the Control or Option key, and click on one window trim surface to paint all connected surfaces of the same color. With one window done, we can quickly complete the other two. However, we need the bluish window color again. With the Paint Bucket active, hold the Alt key on a PC or Command key on a Mac to turn the paint tool into a sampling tool. Then click on one of the painted windows to sample and pick that color for use. Now paint the remaining windows, then hold Alt or Command again.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end of this. As we get further on, they use a tool called the Warehouse in SketchUp, which is under the File command, where you can download things like furniture. You can download all kinds of things, in fact. You can download entire models of houses and railroads and whatever. But continue watching this and get on to Google SketchUp and start following along these activities and learning these things and building your house. And I will check up with you again on Wednesday to see how you're doing and to help you out. Have a good day.